right, so this week in AI news, wow. New models, new capabilities. It's a lot to keep up with.
It really is a real fire hose of information.
But you guys sent us some amazing sources, so let's dive in and break it down for everybody.
That's good.
We're talking about some pretty major breakthroughs in reasoning, 3D modeling, even those AI agents everyone's been talking about.
Yeah, it's remarkable how much progress we're seeing, not just from the usual suspects like Google and OpenAI, but also from smaller companies and research groups.
Yeah, definitely. It feels like AI development is becoming much more widespread.
Okay, let's start with the whole reasoning thing. It seems like AI isn't just about crunching numbers anymore. It's actually starting to think, or at least that's what it feels like. We saw OpenAI's O1 model making some serious waves with this chain of thought processing.
It's a big shift. I mean, think of it like this. Previous models, they were great at finding patterns, making predictions based on the data you fed them, sure. But they kind of struggled when it came to explaining how they got to a conclusion.
Chain of thought processing, it changes that. It forces the AI to explain its reasoning step by step, almost like a human solving a logic puzzle, kind of thinking out loud.
So it's not just about getting the right answer, it's about showing its work.
Exactly.
It's like in school, you can't just write down the answer, you got to show how you got there. Which makes sense, especially if we're going to trust AI with more and more complex tasks.
Transparency is absolutely key, and chain of thought processing, it definitely takes us a step closer. What's even more interesting, though, is DeepSeek. They released a similar model, DeepSeek R1. But here's the kicker. It's open source.
Okay, so I'm sure some of our listeners are thinking, open source, big whoop, what's the big deal? So break it down for us. Why is this a game changer?
Well, just imagine if anyone, not just these big tech companies, but anyone could access and play around with the latest AI models.
Interesting.
That's the power of open source. Smaller companies, researchers, even just hobbyists, they can all build on these models, create totally new applications that we haven't even thought of yet.
So it's like giving the keys to the AI kingdom to anyone who knows how to use them.
Pretty much, yeah.
I mean, it's exciting, but also a little unnerving, no?
Oh, for sure. There are definitely some ethical questions we need to think about, but from a purely technological standpoint, it's a potential game changer, no doubt.
All right, well, let's shift gears to something that sounds straight out of science fiction, shall we? Tencent's Hunyuan 3D 2.0. I mean, this thing can generate full-blown 3D models from a single image, and in seconds. That's got to be mind-blowing for anyone working design, architecture, game development.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, imagine going from a simple sketch to a complex 3D model almost instantly. Could revolutionize entire industries, speed up prototyping like crazy, make it so much easier to create these really immersive experiences. It's incredible.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, it's the kind of thing you'd see in a movie, but it's real. It's happening now. And then, of course, there's Google, always pushing the boundaries, right? This time, it's Gemini 2.0, and this whole thing about agentic capabilities. Sounds incredibly complex, so in layman's terms, what does it actually mean?
Think of it like a digital assistant, but way smarter. Not only does it understand what you need, it can actually take action to make it happen. Let's say you need to book a flight. Instead of just showing you options, an AI agent with these agentic capabilities could check your calendar, look at your preferences, compare prices, and actually just book the best flight for you. It's pretty wild.
So it's like a superpowered personal assistant, but for the digital world.
You got it.
Yeah, I can see the appeal of that.
Oh, for sure. It's a big step towards AI that can really collaborate with us, not just answer our questions or generate content, but actually do things. It's not just Google pushing things forward, though. ByteDance, the company behind TikTok, they're also making some impressive strides with their Dubao 1.5 Pro model.
Yeah, Dubao, right. I remember reading about that. They're achieving some crazy good performance, but using way fewer resources than you'd expect.
Exactly.
Sounds like a win for efficiency, but what's the real world impact? What does it actually mean for users like me?
Okay, so imagine a small startup. They can suddenly use the same kind of powerful AI models that only a tech giant could use before.
I see.
That's what Dubao 1.5 Pro allows, because it needs less computing power to do its thing.
Right. So it's kind of like leveling the playing field.
Yeah, exactly. Democratizing access to powerful AI, that's what it's all about.
I like that.
Okay.
I like that a lot. Speaking of powerful, though, we got to talk about Google. I mean, they're still dominating the field. Their flash thinking model, it just topped the LLM leaderboard. Incredible reasoning abilities, and get this, a 1 million token context window.
It's a beast.
1 million. Okay, for anyone who's not a tech whiz, can you explain what that even means? What's a context window in the AI world?
Think of it this way. you're trying to understand something complex, right? Like astrophysics or something.
Yeah.
You wouldn't just read one sentence and think you've got the whole picture, would you? You'd need to read paragraphs, chapters, even multiple books to really understand, to get the context.
Makes sense. So is that what a context window is for AI? It's like giving it more information to work with?
Bingo. The larger that context window, the more information the AI can hold in its memory while it's working.
Interesting.
A million token context window, that's like giving it access to an entire encyclopedia's worth of knowledge.
Wow. That's a game changer, especially for any task that involves a ton of data or really intricate reasoning.
Absolutely. Things like scientific research or any kind of complex problem solving, this is going to have a huge impact.
It's like giving AI a superhuman memory. It's crazy. A little intimidating, but also incredibly exciting.
It definitely raises some questions about human intelligence, that's for sure. But, we're still in the early stages. Even with these advancements, we're just scratching the surface of what AI can really do.
All right. Okay. Now, we talked about chain of thought processing earlier, but there's a new model on the block, Metacot, from Synth Labs, and they're taking that concept even further. What's the big deal with this one?
So remember how chain of thought helps AI explain how it arrived at a conclusion? Well, Metacot goes a step beyond that. Imagine not just seeing the AI's final answer, but every single step it took along the way. Every calculation, every logical leap, even if it had to backtrack or revise its thinking.
So it's like complete transparency into the AI's thought process.
Exactly. And that's huge, not just for understanding how these models work, but also for debugging them if they go off track.
Right. It's like being able to peek inside the AI's brain, see the gears turning. Okay, that's really fascinating.
Yeah, it's an incredible tool for researchers and developers.
Makes sense. Then there's this other one, Search 01 from RUC researchers. It's combining AI reasoning with the ability to search for and use outside information. It's not just limited to what it's already been trained on.
Right, so picture this. The AI is working on something, but it realizes it needs more info. Search 01, it can actually go out and find that information from the internet, databases, wherever, and then use it to improve its reasoning.
Wow, so it's like it has a research assistant that can access any information it needs instantly.
Pretty much.
Okay, now that's seriously next level. It's like the AI is becoming a true researcher, able to find and synthesize information all on its own. What kind of impact could that have on, well, everything?
Oh, the possibilities are endless. Think about scientific research, for example. Imagine an AI that could sift through mountains of data, find those hidden connections, maybe even generate completely new hypotheses. It could lead to breakthroughs in medicine, climate science, anything.
It's like we're giving AI the keys to unlock these incredible scientific discoveries.
Yeah.
Amazing, but also kind of scary, right?
Right.
What if they start coming up with solutions that we can't even understand?
That's a valid point, definitely something to consider. And it really highlights why we need this constant conversation, this collaboration between AI developers, researchers, and the rest of society. We got to make sure these tools are being developed and used responsibly, ethically, for the benefit of humanity.
Absolutely. Ethical considerations, they can't be an afterthought. All right, let's shift gears again and talk about AI agents. They've been generating a lot of buzz lately, and it's not hard to see why.
Yeah, AI agents, they're basically AI systems designed to operate autonomously in the real world. And their potential is huge. It's a big shift. We're moving from AI that mostly interacts with data to AI that can interact with the physical world.
Okay, so we've talked about AI that can reason and make 3D models and even search for information on its own. But AI agents, that's where it starts to feel like, I don't know, really futuristic.
It is a pretty big leap. Like we were saying, we're going from AI that's mostly dealing with data to AI that can actually do things in the real world.
So less about crunching numbers and more about, like, taking action.
Yeah.
What does that even look like in practice?
All right, so think of it this way. You give an AI some instructions. Not only can it understand them, it can actually carry them out. Need to schedule a meeting. Boom! An AI agent could check everyone's calendars, find a good time, send out the invites, the whole 9 yards. Or let's say you need groceries. The AI could make you a shopping list, based on your diet and stuff, place the order, and then have it delivered right to your door.
That sounds incredibly convenient, but also a little, I don't know, unsettling. Are we talking about, like, robots doing our chores now?
Not necessarily robots in the way we usually think of them. I mean, AI agents, they can take a lot of different forms. Software, virtual assistants, sure, even robots sometimes. The key is they can act on their own and interact with the world around them.
Right, so it's more about the intelligence behind the actions than the physical form it takes. So who's leading the charge in this whole AI agent world? What companies should we be watching?
Well, NVIDIA, you know them. They make those powerful graphics cards. They're making some big moves with their Llama Nematron platform. They're developing these really efficient AI agent models specifically for businesses.
For businesses, So we're talking about AI that can automate tasks in companies, factories, large-scale stuff like that.
Exactly. Imagine AI agents managing entire supply chains, optimizing how things are manufactured, maybe even providing personalized customer service. The potential is huge. Think about how much more efficient and productive businesses could become.
It sounds like we're on the cusp of a major shift. But all this talk of AI agents taking action kind of makes you wonder, are we making ourselves obsolete?
I wouldn't say that. It's not about replacing humans. It's more about, augmenting our abilities, freeing us up to focus on things that really require human skills.
So less about AI taking over, more about AI working with us, a partnership.
Exactly. A collaboration. And that's where the real magic happens, By combining our strengths, humans and AI, we can achieve things that neither of us could do alone.
I like that way of looking at it. Honestly, this whole week in AI news has been a bit overwhelming, even for someone like me who tries to keep up with all this stuff.
Oh, I hear you. It's a lot to process, for sure. But that's why we do these deep dives, right? Break it all down, make it a little less intimidating.
Absolutely. Well, as we wrap up here, what's the one big takeaway you want our listeners to remember?
That the world of AI, it's moving fast, really fast. This week has just been one example of that. Advancements in reasoning, 3D modeling, efficiency, AI agents. It's all pointing towards a future where AI is going to play a much bigger role in our lives.
And it's not just about the tech itself, it's about how we use it.
Right.
The ethical questions, the potential impact on society, the need to work together, those are all important things to consider.
Couldn't agree more. We have to approach all this with responsibility, transparency, always keeping in mind the well-being of humanity.
Couldn't have said it better myself. So for all our listeners out there, what's your advice? Where should they go from here? How do they stay ahead of the curve?
Stay curious. Keep reading those articles, the research papers, even listening to podcasts like this one. Don't be afraid to try out new tools and platforms, connect with other people who are passionate about AI. It's all about the journey.
Yeah. The AI world is constantly changing. There's always something new to learn, something new to discover. So keep learning, keep exploring, keep pushing the boundaries. And hey, maybe you'll be the one developing the next big breakthrough we talk about on a future deep dive. Until next time, everybody.